apologize.
We have more people here than we anticipated, so.
There have been 10 comprehensive plan changes, or comprehensive plan map amendments, is kind of the standard terminology, where properties have been changed from either a different residential type or an entirely different type of use to a multifamily type use. That would kind of pave the way for possible zoning change. Since 2000 as well, the next page shows.
Do you want to maybe explain for everyone what the difference between low, moderate, and high density?
Oh, sure, thank you. Yeah, it's the in the book we talk about comprehensive plan and the Unified Development Code, the zoning ordinance, zoning code. Kind of use different terminology to get at the same issues, but low density residential is anything 4 units per acre or less. So general single family lots, again, like quarter acre lots. Moderate density would be anything 4 to 8 units per acre, and that's typically falls in line with the MF14 designation. I know that's MF14 talks about 14 units per acre. We're talking about 4 to 8 units per acre, but the way most of the projects have been built out or rezoned, that MF14 designation does fit with the moderate density residential. And then high density is anything 8 units per acre or above. And then the rezonings, there have been 18 rezonings from, again, either some of the newly annexed areas that we're showing to the south that were from like a county agricultural type use, or some other residential use, or even from some entirely other use such as light industrial or commercial, that rezoned from those categories to a multifamily category. And there's been one instance that has been reversed, where it's been from a multifamily designation to general business. Again, just the data just showing 18 since 2001 that have done that. We included the number of acres that have been rezoned. And a lot of those you see here in terms of with the hash marks in the map. It's not one-for-one correlation, but when you see the comp plan change or the rezoning, it's a more recent date. It often is reflected by this proposed project, not necessarily the one that's been built out. But again, since we went back to 2000, there are some obviously that have been built out or are being built out as we speak. Finally, in that packet, there is a larger table, more complex table, and that is simply just the data that goes with the map. So maybe a little bit out of place in our binder here, I apologize for that, but that is essentially tied to those different areas. And we broke it down in terms of what kind of units are in each structure. Again, all the ones that have been built in, how many units total, how many structures on that project, how many stories are in there as well. So again, this is kind of a comprehensive housing inventory. We started this last summer for that October information at the work session at that time. So not much has been updated since then, because not much has been built. There's been more that's been approved, as we noted in the memo, more that's been permitted. Not as much that has been built, but we did update a few of those in here. So with that, again, just presenting kind of the existing situation in terms of what's zoned, approved, built, permitted, and what options there are in terms of how much build-out potential there is under the current zoning or comp plan designations.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you.
At this time, our Assistant City Manager, Todd Cullen, is going to present us with some census data and marketing data.
Guys, apologize. We talk about hot off the press. We got 3 copies of this for the room, but nothing earth-shattering here. I was asked to put a little data together on median household income and also median home values with the idea to show some of our, maybe do a little benchmarking exercise against some of our neighboring communities, i.e. Lee Summit, Independence, and Liberty, to see, just kind of taking a look at the idea of median household income, the growth trends, what's our benchmarks against some other cities that have also done some multifamily development, and then just kind of look at some of those statistics. my eyes started glazing over looking at the census data, but quickly found out that Blue Springs didn't have any data for '05 because we just missed that census benchmark of 60,000. So we weren't able to do some really good comparisons with Lee's Summit and Independence, but some of the numbers that you'll see, and I don't know if you guys will return to the census tab if you guys are looking at the summary sheet there. You kind of get to see some percentage increases from 2000. Lee's Summit at about a 9% growth in median household income over that 5-year span, and Independence a little less at 8%. In 2000, Blue Springs was about 55,000 in median household income. What I quickly transitioned into was working with our EDC. We were able to pull some data from a company called Claritas, which does a lot of economic development data that a lot of developers use, and the EDC has access to some of that reporting. Again, the data is a little different. They do different computer modeling, use different assumptions, but the second part of this analysis kind of shows you some '07 estimate at this point, and then a 2002 estimate, and what that, with a lot of these factors that go into this computer modeling, they show Blue Springs at a little less in terms of percentage increases than, let's say, Lee's Summit, tracking right with Independence and Liberty at about 16%, but Lee's Summit kind of leading the way at more like 22% kind of growth in that median household income. Again, it's just a benchmark that I was asked to pull to kind of give you some context of where we're at. What I didn't have time was maybe to go farther back and do some trending against 1990 to 2000, and I think that's something we can maybe bring for the next meeting if you'd like. But I think there's some data that you've looked at previously, if you want to comment on that. But again, we also had some median home values there, and I know, Mr. Parker, if you've got any numbers there, but Lee's Summit median home value in 2000 was $131,000. In 2005 it was $187,000, so almost a 42% growth in the median home value there. Independence went from $77,000 in 2000 to almost $108,000 in median home value. So, and again, the analysis isn't real great because I don't have Blue Springs numbers, so I wish I could tell you that, but I can't. So, we're going to try and drill down there, but just to give you some comparisons of where we're at. So, just some benchmarking data. So, hopefully, that didn't help much.
It helped.
It was fun to look at census data for a while. So.
Thank you very much. It was very helpful. Next, we have Officer Janet Jarvis is going to share some information with us as far as what the City of Blue Springs and the Police Department has been doing regarding safety issues.
First of all, we've looked at a lot of the problems, and there's obviously with high density, there becomes the perception that there's an increase of crime because of the clientele that you have there. But the reality is, when you get people closer together, we have more problems, more conflict. Typically, we get a lot more noise complaints, those sorts of things when you've got people closer together. That's normal. There are things that we can do to reduce crime in high-density populations and throughout our city. And so one of those things that we have implemented is that we work with the apartment managers and owners to form kind of a partnership, and the goal there is to work together to reduce crime in our rental property. At this point in time, this program is fully voluntary, so we are asking them to come to us and attend training that we offer to them for free. That training includes things such as it's what we refer to as an advanced management techniques program. They come to us, we talk about how they can screen out problems before they move in. So if they have tenants that are hopping, that are trying to avoid eviction from numerous properties and that sort of thing, or they're creating problems, we obviously don't want to invite them into our city. So we look at ways that they can screen those problems out before they move in. That for us is the highest priority, because if we never let them in, then we've avoided the problem completely. Once they get in, because occasionally they do sneak in, so when they get in, then we need to look at things that we can do to work together so that when we notice a problem, the owners know that there's a problem. Because not all of our owners live on property. And so if you have an investment group, or if you have somebody who has bought an investment property because they want to get money from rent and they feel that this is their method of income, if they haven't been trained on how to recognize the problems and how to work with us, then the problem persists until it becomes a major problem. So our goal is to intercept at an earlier stage, not just with police officers and that sort of thing, but also using management for management to take action. Then we also work with them on how to improve their property. Things that they need to look at on their property that as managers or as owners they need to maintain, what their standards are. And it's developed out of a program called Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. So we take known information as to things that we can do with a property either before it's built or after it's built and we're kind of stuck with what we have. Then what can we do with the landscaping, with the lighting, those sorts of things to reduce the propensity of crime on that property. So we go through and explain to them things that they can do. We have 8 minimum standards they have to meet in order to be certified in our program. But we go beyond that. When we actually go out to their property and look over their property, we will give them a full-scale SEPTED inspection where we note anything that we see that's a safety problem. And then we encourage them to go beyond that 8 minimum standard. But in order to be certified, they have to do 8 minimum standards. So we educate them during this first day, this 8-hour class that they attend on that. We also educate them on what to look for so that they can recognize criminal activity on their property. Because if they grew up in a sheltered lifestyle and never experienced it, don't know what they're seeing, we need to educate them on what to look for and what to call us on and what information we as police need so that we can assist them on that. We also spend time discussing how they can work with the police, what information we need, and what to expect when we respond out to their property so that they know what information they're entitled to and what information we can't give them, so that it opens the lines of communication and they understand when they can, what needs to be communicated to us and what, quite honestly, they as managers need to handle themselves. By educating management, we see a much higher decrease in crime on a property because typically our calls for service will go down and our number of actual reported incidents go down. And that's because they're dealing with the problems as they come up and before they become major issues. The Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program is a program that has been implemented throughout the United States. It started in 1992. It is now an international program. It goes beyond just the United States. It's into Canada, Australia, Malaysia, 7 different countries. But every area that it has been implemented and is an effective tool where they are utilizing it effectively, every single one of those properties has shown a decrease in crime. So what we have seen in all of the statistical value that I can pull, they did several studies throughout Mesa and throughout Westminster in Canada where they compared properties that were crime-free properties to properties that weren't involved in the program. The ones that were not involved in the program, their crime rates were continuing to climb. The ones that were involved in the program showed a decrease in crime. So by education of the management and getting them on board to work with us and instilling the information of, these are the things that you can do, and so they're not just sitting there going, there's nothing I can do, just report it to the police. When we create that partnership, it has dramatically made a difference within communities for reducing crime. So essentially we found that management is the key to good properties when we're talking about multifamily. Something